Faith is a pure concept that seems somewhat controversial for our modern society. Those who have it are seen as perhaps simple or living in a fantasy world or seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. But faith is one of the most important and powerful qualities that one might ever cultivate and embody in a lifetime. As Ross says in The Law of One Material, those who follow the path of measuring and proving, a more intellectual, I need scientific proof before I'm going to believe or trust that this exists and is real. Ross says that sort of mentality is of a finite nature. But the path of faith is one of an infinite nature. If you need solid proof, which is reasonable, before you're going to believe or trust anything, you're going to hit a wall. There's only so far that you can go with that, because our science, our society has not figured out how to measure 99% of phenomena that is occurring. They only think they know. This is coming from someone who was a hardcore atheist, following that path. My degree is in evolutionary biology, so I get it. I very much get it. But whether you are following a spiritual path or not, and if you are, then faith is paramount to your continued growth. But whether you're following that path or not, I still think it is helpful for everyone from all walks of life to cultivate faith. Because even, like I said, if you're not using it towards a spiritual path, faith still gives you confidence in what you're doing. Faith that whatever you're working on, whatever project you might be doing, whatever goal you have, faith that you can achieve that you can accomplish that. And whether you think you do or not, even those that need hard proof for everything, they still utilize faith. And I'll get into that a little bit more in a moment. Everyone utilizes faith. A lot of people just don't realize that that's what they're doing. And I'm going to read an excerpt from a channeling from the social memory complex known as Kuo that was channeled by the group LL Research. I can't remember what session it was, so I will put that in the description, but it's a session on faith, and I think it sums up everything that I want to convey. Not everything, but it makes some pretty good points about faith. After I read that session, or an excerpt from that session, this video will move into the sound meditation. So what follows, is a holographic sound, vocal toning sound meditation. Holographic sound, I should make a video on holographic sound. You can type it in on YouTube and you'll see what it is, but holographic sound utilizes sacred geometry to bring forth multidimensional sound. Most sound that you hear is linear, but when you use the sacred geometry to access multidimensional sound, you are bringing sound in its most complete forms, bringing through sound from all dimensions. So it's a very complete and powerful experience. And the intention for that sound meditation is that those who listen to it, the sounds will assist them in living a life of faith and cultivating faith and trusting that everything that is happening around them, no matter what, it's all okay. It's all good. I think that's a very powerful, transformative attitude to take on. So that is the intention for that sound meditation. It may make a little bit more sense after I read the excerpt, but again, the intention for that sound meditation is to assist those who listen into cultivating faith, into trusting that all is well. Everything that happens is for their highest good. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know. And now I will move into the channel transcript. That which one calls faith has been, within your holy works, called hope in things unseen. How difficult it is for you within your culture to hope in things unseen. The illusion all by itself is such that the contemplation of claiming an absolute, living by it, being willing to die for it as witness to the truth is ludicrous. This is the outer environment in which you are attempting to become aware of your metaphysical and imperishable consciousness. That spark of the Creator which expresses its unity and hope, and all that may be expressed within your illusion. Though you may be of little faith in your own estimation, the search itself is a search begun only in the blindness of faith. This is one of the elements of faith itself which creates a kind of meniscus or layer of resistance for those who wish to have faith. For if one claims faith, the world that is seen, the illusion that is perceived, is forever changed and not in ways which exemplify the search for happiness or the contentment of resting in a comfortable space. There are comfortable belief systems which enable one to know all of the truths all the time, according to the subjective path of literal dogmatic belief systems. However, that which each Christ that has come into your environment has offered is not a comfortable or happy journey. It is a journey begun on courage alone. It is a journey in which one persists by will alone. It is a journey which claims that which it does not feel with its whole heart, but which instead is felt as a hunch, an instinct, a bias. On these slender threads hang the beginning of a life in faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. Now you know that the essence of faith is that surety that each entity has without objective, tangible proof of same. The inner surety is the substance and evidence I have spoken of. There are many among your peoples who have not developed a conscious awareness of their own inner sense of that surety and choose to believe that they will accept and act on nothing unless they have objective, tangible proof of such. What man would call scientific proof. What these entities are unaware of is that they accept many, many things on faith, but do not realize it, for these beliefs have never been called into question. They pride themselves in not accepting ideas which seem foolish to them or to others, merely on the basis of a feeling of congruity within themselves. The spiritual journey with each begins at that point when an entity feels this sense of congruity and acts on it for the first time. It may not be an obvious action, but may be simply the acknowledgement of the feeling itself, the acknowledgement and the validity of a feeling. And it is at this point that faith becomes part of conscious action on the personal path. As each seeker continues to grow and develop this capacity for faith, the ability to deny on the inner sense of congruence with an idea is developed further and further until each entity has created for itself its own personal collection of truths that are based not on objective proof, but on subjective assurance. The part of this process that each of you is aware of is the realization from time to time the causes of obsolescence of some of these truths when this first occurs. The faith of the seeker is often shaken, sometimes to a very great degree, especially if this process occurs with truth that has been known long and deeply. Sometimes balance is never restored within the seeker, who then, as it is said, loses faith and never consciously returns to a path of seeking. For the undaunted, however, those who continue on the path despite their feelings of disillusionment, discouragement, despair, anger, pain, and confusion, balance is eventually restored, and the seeker begins to realize that truths, like faith, are not objective but subjective. As this concept is assimilated more and more, the seeker continues on its journey, developing more and more surely the ability to discern those truths which have the greatest degree of congruency for itself at that particular time. The capacity of faith is also further developed as part of the same process, so that the seeker rests comfortably with the truth it finds and grows with, and grows beyond, and finds others which it grows into. Observing the ebb and flow of this process is part of the ebb and flow of all that is. Throughout this process, the capacity of faith, although it grows stronger, unlike the truth, which varies from time to time, remains the same. Now there are some, as you are aware, to whom this capacity comes most naturally. There are many among your peoples who possess this gift and have no awareness of the fact, but live their lives in a most simple, natural, and harmonious manner. These people may often be considered by those among your peoples who have been taught by your societies to have a bias towards the strength of intellectual functioning, to be simple, and perhaps of less value than their intellectual counterparts. There are many such peoples on your planet living an unconscious life within, in harmony with the natural rhythms, a very second density life force in the planet itself. And as each here is aware, these beings have often made far greater spiritual progress than those others who pride themselves in demanding their proofs. Those entities, however, who have been the most strident in demanding objective, tangible verifications for their various beliefs, once having grabbed the door just a little, having dared to act in however small way on that first intuition that is acknowledged, once these doubters make their way, at first timidly along the path, and then more boldly, will also be those whose faith is strongest, because it has been so rigorously questioned at the start. These may also be ones who understand the process of faith to a much greater extent than those to whom it comes naturally, because again they have questioned the process so deeply and may find opportunities to help those they find in situations such as they themselves once were. We offer to those whose path is well traveled or only just begun in the conscious sense the concept of faith as that which shall be the rod and staff to steady the pilgrim on his journey. The faith with which an entity begins is a faith which is pure in its intention, is as yet innocent in its exercise, and which is full of the potential for engaging an entity's resources. And through this expression, developing much of quality of character and of personality, primarily in the ways of the disciplining of the personality. For the seeker, no matter what place it may imagine itself to be, or may actually be upon its own journey of evolution, we have spoken this evening of that call of your faith which is recognized from within an entity as a kind of inner confidence that propels and sustains movement and exploration. Faith is as truth, that which is subjectively experienced, that which an entity can effect by its own perceptions, judgments, and beliefs. For the truest quality of faith that we can express in your words is an inner confidence that all is indeed well, that all entities and activities and interrelationships are proceeding with the same surety, rightfulness, purpose, and completeness of expression, as the winds that blow upon the planetary surface in all seasons, as the sun which shines its warming and life-giving rays upon your planetary sphere, as sure as the earth which receives the effects of the wind and the fire, and as able to reproduce itself in any situation, as is your waters that give a place of birthing to many forms of your second density creatures. This quality of faith is as sure as the procession of cycles of all kinds that are an expression of the evolution, not only of individuals, but of planets, solar systems, galaxies, and the one Creator as well. Faith is. And this instrument discovers that that was our complete thought. Faith is. We can give analogy after analogy, likening faith to those things which exist within your illusion, seemingly without doubt, and yet faith is far more. It underlies all creation, all activity. Oftentimes it is ignored as one ignores the ground upon which one walks, the air which one breathes, yet it is. For those who would wish to study the concept of faith, he shall find that it permeates all of your existence as you know it. Each entity exercises a faith in various things, various concepts, various entities, associations, relationships, exercises. Without the concept of faith, indeed, there would be little activity upon your planetary surface or within any life pattern. For there must be this basic quality that concerns the sense of self, the sense of the environment, the movement of the self through this environment and such pattern. All of these things at the very, very basic level are taken as articles of faith. Faith in is one of the primary concepts with which each entity begins each incarnation and each activity within the incarnation. What we would wish each entity to realize through the speaking that we have offered this evening is that this quality of faith, though everywhere expressing and mysterious at the same time, is that which may be affected and directed by the consciously seeking entity. That which is at one's disposal may be utilized ever more effectively with conscious attention, with the refining of one's disciplines of the personality of discrimination and perception. Thus, we do not introduce a new topic to any entity, but only seek to make each entity aware that this quality is always an affirmation in some form or another within the life pattern. To take this quality and utilize it in a conscious fashion is much the same as refining the general characteristics of the bonfire, so that that which could be likened to the laser beam is then utilized in a far more precise and powerful fashion. We would like to leave you with a thought that has many ramifications, and like most thoughts within the spiritual realm, it is not a logically acceptable thought. For within spiritual seeking, one of the greatest hallmarks is that of the inherent illogic, according to the logical systems of humankind at this time. For we present you with a circular thought, a tautology, one which has nothing of logic in it, but perhaps may be more helpful as it contains a carefully observed situation. Faith is not possible in most cases without the profound and persistent. And at this point, side 1 of the tape ends, and then they continue channeling again. There is the tautology for circular argument concerning faith and will. It is the persistent and thoroughgoing will which leads each to wherever it truly desires within this illusion or outside of it. And so it is the will that enables faith. Be persistent, determined, and ever hopeful invocation of the will, no matter in what circumstance of mind, body, or spirit. Will is impossible without the faith to persist in that will. Thus, faith and will are enabled by each other. Now I invite you to sit or lie in a nice, comfortable position, becoming aware of your breath. the ebb and the flow of the air moving within and without, like the ebb and flow of waves upon a shore. Breathing in and letting go. As the sound meditation begins, I invite you to bring your attention to your heart center. Visualize or imagine and feel that the sounds that you are hearing are being generated from your own heart center and radiating throughout your entire body as you become one with the sounds.